Yes, you can start.
Okay, sir. Okay. So, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. I'm Yash Trivedi, and I'm excited to have you all here for today's session on MSME compliance under tax audit and company law, hosted by Figment Global Solutions Private Limited. This webinar will cover key compliance areas, recent updates, common pitfalls, and practical insights, especially useful for business owners, CFOs, accountants, and MSME professionals. We are joined today by CA Vineet Bhutada, sir, a chartered accountant and subject matter expert, who will guide us through this important topic. During this session, we will also show you how our product portal provides MSME details based on PAN, making compliance tracking easier and more streamlined. We will also have a Q&A session towards the end. So please feel free to note down your questions and share them in the chat box. So thank you, sir, for the joining. Now over to you, sir.
Yes, thank you, Yash. So, good afternoon, all. Is my screen visible?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Yes, thank you. So today we are here to discuss about this MSME compliances, and we will start with a brief introduction about what is MSME. So MSMEs are the micro, small, and medium enterprises where MSME Act is being enacted by the government for the financial interest of the micro, small, and medium enterprises, so that they can be taken care of the timely payments from the large buyers and facilitate their development and promotion. The Act recognizes MSMEs as the distinct economic sector and recognizes them as important for the nation's economy. So in this webinar, we will discuss about MSME compliance with respect to three aspects. First aspect would be disallowance under Section 43B of the Income Tax Act. Second will be filing of Form MSME-1 as per MCA requirement. And third will be reporting of MSME payment under Clause 22 of Form 3CD. So this is the newly introduced notification wherein we have to report the MSME compliance. MSME payment reporting will be done under Clause 22 of the Form 3CD. So first of all, we will discuss about this 43B disallowance. So for this, we have to first see what is the definition of an enterprise. For categorization of an enterprise, we have to see the definition of this MSME definition as per the MSME Act. So definition is been defined based on the investment limit, investment in plant and machinery, and the turnover of an organization enterprise in the last financial year. So if the investment in plant and machinery during the last financial year is 2.5 crore, not more than 2.5 crores, and turnover is less than 10 crores, then it would be classified as a micro enterprise. It would be classified as a small enterprise if investment in plant and machinery is less than 25 crores and turnover is less than 100 crores. And third category would be medium enterprise, where investment in plant and machinery is more than 125 crores and not more than 125 crores, and turnover is not more than 500 crores. So based on this investment and turnover limit, an enterprise would be categorized as a micro, small, or medium enterprise. So only entities in manufacturing and service sector will be classified as an enterprise. If you are a trader, distributor, or a retailer, you cannot be classified as an MSME. So you should be only in the field of manufacturing or a service provider for classifying yourself as an enterprise. So this was a definition about MSME, means micro, small, and medium definition. So categorization. So what is the time limit under MSME Act under which the payment needs to be done to these micro, small, and medium enterprises? So as per the MSME Act Section 15, buyer needs to make payment within 45 days to the seller. If there is no agreement, then it is 15 days. So first of all, if the buyer enters into an agreement with the MSME, then due date of payment should not exceed 45 days from the date of acceptance or the deemed acceptance of the goods or services. And if there is no written agreement, then due date for payment to this micro, small, and medium enterprises will be 15 days from the date of acceptance or deemed acceptance. So these are the newly inserted provision. This provision is already inserted from 1st of April 2024 and is applicable for the assessment year 24-25. So we will discuss the various scenarios under which the disallowances will be given under section 43B if the payment is not done within the time limit. So first instance is of a case where invoice is on 10th of June and due date for payment is 25th of July, that is within 45 days. And it is paid on 31st of March 2024. So this provision were applicable from 1st of April 2024. So for this financial year 23-24, there was no applicability. So there will be no disallowance even if the payment is made after 45 days. Next scenario is a case where bill was of 10th of June 2023. However, payment is made on 5th of April of the next financial year. So here from 1st of April, the applicability of this 45 days applicability was implemented from 1st April. Hence, the payment will be disallowed in financial year 23-24 and will be allowed for the financial year 24-25. Here you can see that as per section 43B, under section 43B, any other payments if you would have done, then that would have been, if any other payment is done within the due date of filing return, then that would have been allowed. However, in this case, because section 43B as specifically disallows payment if payment is done after the end of the financial year. So because in this second scenario, because payment is made after 45 days and after the end of the financial year, the same is allowed on payment basis in the financial year 24-25 and not allowed in the financial year 23-24. Now, third scenario is the case where partial payment is being done in 2023 and partial payment is being done in 2024. Partial payment is done on 31st March, 31st of December 2023 and partial payment 7 lakh payment is done on 15th of April 2024. So here you can see that 7 lakh is only allowed for payment. 7 lakh is only allowed in the financial year 23-24 because in the financial year 23-24, only 7 lakh rupees was paid before the end of the financial year. Hence, that is allowed. Later amount is paid after the completion of the financial year. Hence, that amount is allowed in financial year 24-25. And the second last scenario is the case where means invoice date is 1st of March 2024 and due date is of within 45 days, that is 15th of April 2024. Payment is made after 45 days. So in this case, disallowance will be done in the financial year 23-24 and allowance deduction can be claimed in 24-25 because payment is done on 20th of April 2024 being the payment date. It is paid after the end of 45 days. Hence, it is disallowed in 23-24 and allowed in 24-25. Last scenario is the case where bill was raised in 2024, March 2024. Payment was done within 45 days. Hence, the same was allowed in 23-24 itself and no disallowance will be there because the same is paid within 45 days of the MSME requirement of 45 days. If the payment is not done within the 45 days requirement, then buyer needs to pay interest to the vendor at 3 times the bank rate as notified by the Reserve Bank of India. So this is a very compounding interest, very punitive interest that has been imposed for MSME compliance. So another requirement, second part is the MSME compliance with respect to the company law. So company law requires that every company needs to file this MSME one form 2 times in the financial year for disclosure for payments done to the MSME. So half yearly compliance it is. So at the end of September and at the end of March, every company needs to file a half yearly return of MSME form MSME 1 to the at the MSCA portal. This compliance is required if you have any outstanding, means if you have any outstanding payment to the MSME at the end of the financial year. If there is no outstanding, means there is no vendor outstanding at the end of the financial year, that no vendor is liable to be paid for more than 45 days, then you need not be reporting this MSME form 1. What is to be reported in this MSME form 1? Companies must provide their basic details like company's own detail and the supplier info, like its PAN number, MSME registration number, reason for delay in payment. So likewise, all the fields needs to be reported in this MSME form 1. new reporting requirement under MCA version 3. So recently MCA have introduced new version of this MSME Form 1. Earlier there was MCA version 2 and now new version is introduced, MCA version 3. So in this, what is the difference between these two forms? We will just brief you about that. Earlier, what was the requirement in V2 version was only if micro, small, medium enterprises, micro and small enterprises whose payment is outstanding as at the end of financial year for more than 45 days, only those were required to be reported. If you have outstanding to micro and small enterprises for more than 45 days, then only that was to be reported. However, in this MCA version 3, you have to, there is a new requirement, the requirement have changed. You have to categorize your payment into 4 parts. So what means the 4 parts? Micro and small vendors to whom payment is done during the half year, but within the 45 days. It means there is no lapse in payment. All the compliance has been done properly, but still we have to make the reporting that payment is being done within the 45 days. First requirement is that micro and small vendors to whom payment is done during the half year, but after the 45 days. And the third category will be micro and small vendors to whom payment is outstanding as at the end of the half year, but 45 days are yet to be over. Means they are outstanding for less than 45 days. And fourth category is outstanding as of the end of the financial year and 45 days are over. So here you can see that 2 categories are for micro and small vendors to whom payment is being done within the 45 days or after the 45 days, and 2 category are payment is outstanding as at the end of the 45 days, as of the half yearly end for 45 more than 45 days and less than 45 days. So these are the 4 categories now that are required to be reported under MCA V3 version. Earlier under the V2 version, there was only one requirement that if micro and small enterprises are outstanding for more than 45 days at the end of the half year, then only one category that was to be reported. Now that is categorized under 4 categories, four parts, and those all 4 parts needs to be reported. So what is the filing fees for MSME Form 1? So as per, and there is no ROC fees for filing this form. However, if we file late, then ROC does not attract any late fees. However, they are defined some penalties for not filing this MSME Form 1 under Section 405. So what will be the penalties? So penalties are imposed on both the companies and the officer in default for non-compliance. And what Section 405 defines penalties. So what is the penalties? Penalties on companies and the officers in default will not be for not filing the form is 20,000 rupees, and a continuing penalty. If the same continues for a period, then 1,000 rupees per day continuing penalty is there for not filing the same, up to subject to maximum of 3 lakh rupees. So there is severe penalty if the same MSME Form 1 is not filed as per the MCA guidelines. So third part is the regarding the update on the 3CD update in reporting of Form 3CD. So as per CBDT notification number 23/2025, with effect from 1st of April 2025, there is a requirement of additional reporting under clause 22. Under the clause 22 of this Form 3CD, companies and all the firms and LLBs have to report one additional requirement. What is the additional requirement? That if we have made payment to MSMEs and we have made any interest payment to MSMEs, that needs to be reported under clause 22. So we will just discuss what is the reporting requirement about amendment under clause 22 of 3CD. Yes, the amount of interest paid to this MSME under Section 23, that will be inadmissible. That will be inadmissible as an expense as per clause 22 of the Form 3CD. That needs to be reported under this clause. And total amount that is required to be paid to the micro and small enterprise. So if you are making payment to micro and small enterprises, then as per Section 15, you have to report all that amount of payment done during the financial year in this clause 22. Out of this payment, so Section 15 are defined. Section 15 is the definition of what is the time limit for payment to this MSME. So out of this point number 2, we have to report what is the payment that is being done before the time limit of 45 days and what is the payment that is being done to MSME after the time limit. So broadly, there are four types of reporting under clause 22 of Form 3CD. First is the interest inadmissible under section 23. Second is the amount of payment that is being done to the micro and small enterprises, total amount that is paid to the micro and small enterprises as per section 15. Third would be categorized into two parts. Micro and small vendors to whom payment is done within the due date, that is within the 45 days, and micro and small vendors to whom payment is done after the due date, that is the time limit of 45 days. So this is how clause 22 reporting is to be done. So what will be the relationship between this form 3CD and MSME 1? So as you all know that as per budget amendment 2024, no income tax deduction, no deduction would be allowed if the micro and small enterprises are not paid within 45 days. And we are reporting this information in this form also, MSME form 1. So this form 1 information could be broadly used for checking whether the reporting that has been done in the clause 22 of the 3CD and reporting that has been done under MSME, that is matching or not. Hence, it is very important that companies have a system to identify and correlating data about vendors, that whether they are registered under this micro and small enterprises or not. And to help this, we must have system in place that during a vendor onboarding, itself, we see that the vendor is registered as a micro or small enterprise or not, and request MSME details from the client. We can ask him for the Udyam registration certificate, and all those details can be taken upfront during vendor onboarding itself. We have to educate our accounts payable system that 43PH is the section where disallowance would be provided if the payment is not being done in 45 days. Hence, we have to align our account teams such that there is payment to these micro and small enterprises is being done within the 45 days time limit. So what will be the implications if we do not make compliance to this, if we do not make compliance of MSME compliance? So if we make delay in payment, then this total payment, the payment to MSME micro and small enterprises would be disallowed. And interest paid on this micro and small payment after this 45 days is totally disallowed. Principal payment, if suppose we have not done payment till within the 45 days, and if we make payment after 45 days, then that will be allowed only in the financial year in which it is paid. This is unlike the provision where in the 43B, like if you pay income tax, any other statutory payment is to be done. So if that payment is being done before the filing of return, then that is allowed in the financial year. That is allowed for that financial year itself. However, for this MSME payment, if that is not being done within 45 days, it will be allowed in the financial year only in which it is paid. Suppose 24-25, 24 financial year 24-25, there was requirement for bill to be made in 45 days. And if you do not make payment within 45 days, and if you make payment on 10th of May 2025, then that payment will be allowed as deduction in 25-26 only. That will not be allowed in 24-25. MSME, yes. So to monitor this MSME cycle of 45 days is crucial, because if you do not monitor this 45 days period, then there is a huge interest liabilities also there on the company, and also there will be disallowance under the disallowance of expense under this Income Tax Act. And tax auditors needs to be vigilant, means they needs to report as per clause 22 of this form 3CD. Hence, tax auditor also needs to verify and report the MSME dues accurately. So understanding how MSME compliance will be done by us, because it is very crucial. So as a company, Figment have APIs and where we can do the MSME compliance, MSME validation services. So how we can do MSME compliance here? We have a huge lot of services. We can do MSME compliance based on PAN number. If you provide Udyam number, then also we can do the PAN MSME verification. If you have MSME, we can also provide MSME certificate based on this. Yes. So API integration, we have Figment also have this API, and based on this API, you can automate your MSME compliance with the same. So I will just ask Yash to please show the demo of these APIs, what we have available on the RP-CPC portal.
Sure, sir, sure.
Yes.
So my screen is visible, sir?
Yes,
Hello?
it is visible. Yes, it is
Yes,
visible.
sir. So this is our dashboard, like RPA CPC. So here we have provided multiple APIs for the verification. So as of now, I'll show you the MSME verification. So we have three APIs for the MSME verification. First is Uddam verification. Second is PAN to MSME check, and third one is PAN to Uddam. So I'll show you one. Firstly, Uddam verification. So if you can put here one Uddam number, so you will get that details on the basis of that Uddam number. Like date of commencement date, date of incorporation, date of Uddam registration. Like all the details are over here from the MSME portal. And the second one is PAN to MSME check. So I'll put one PAN number over here. So that API you will get that PAN number is registered or not. So that flag is available over here. Like that PAN number is registered under MSME, so you will get yes flag. If not, here you can see that PAN number is not MSME registered. And the third one is PAN to Uddam. So I'll put one PAN number over here. So on the basis of that PAN number, you can fetch out that Uddam number also. Here you can see that PAN number. So MSME status is yes. Like that PAN number is under register MSME. Like what is the Uddam number, enterprises name, register, organization type, major activity. All the details can be fetched by you. So this is our software, how it works for the MSME verification. Now over to you, sir.
So we have some questions with respect to this MSME compliance. So what is the interest calculation method? So right now the interest is been defined that interest payment at the rate interest at the rate of 3x the rate defined bank rate defined by RBI is to be collected is to be paid. So if you are not making payment within this due date, that is 45 days from the date of invoice, then we have to calculate the interest. Suppose bank rate is 10%, then we have to pay interest at the rate of 30% from the date when the 45 days are over till the date of actual payment. Next question is there any validity of the certificate? So I think this validity would be for the period of 1 year, because this classification could change every financial year, because the enterprise that is micro could be converted into a small enterprise if its turnover or its investment in plant and machinery exceeds the threshold defined. So that validity would be for the period of 1 year. Next question is, at what point in time we should check the MSME classification? Can the classification change during the financial year? So as per our information, that classification should be checked during the start of the financial year, because during the start of the financial year means after the filing of returns and all, the turnover limit and this investment would be classified, and based on which is classification into micro, small, and medium enterprises would be done by the authorities. So we should check this MSME classification during the start of the financial year. And I don't think there is any possibility, because the turnover and investment that is being fetched by the department would not change during the financial year. Next question is, for MSME, medium enterprises not applicable. Yes, medium enterprises are not applicable. Only micro and small enterprises are classified under this uh, definitions. Next question is, what will be the case if vendor invoices has some issues and vendor complied same before 45 after 45 days? So you need to you need to get a revised invoice in that case from the vendor, and you can get a credit note for the old invoice. Because if you have some issues, you are not accepting that invoice, and you will be required to the vendor will be required to raise the new invoice only. So, and next question is, what are the penalties for failure failure to pay MSME? So penalties we have already discussed. There is penalties on the companies and the officer in default of 20,000 rupees each, and there is a continuing penalty of 1,000 rupees per day that can be up to maximum of 3 lakh rupees. Next question is with respect to this PAN verification, MSME verification through PAN number. So we can check multiple PAN numbers also, or we can check single PAN number also. So we have an API-based facility wherein you can check thousands of PAN number through this API facility. There is no constraint of single PAN number or multiple PAN number. You can check n number of PAN numbers through a functionality. If you want to do MSME verification, the same can be done through a functionality. Next question is 45 days from which invoice date or invoice receipt date. So it will be 45 days from the date of our receipt of the goods in our premises, or the services has been provided. So I think that's it from my side. Yash, if you have anything more to
Sir, one
communicate with-
question is from Aditi Vandekar. What is the vendor payment is on hold?
Yes, one second. What
Yes.
is the vendor payment is on hold due to GST issue or some problem from the vendor end? So these are the intricacies. Means there are various means there would be various cases where various means scenarios under which the payment would be not being made in the 45 days. So these would be decided based on the agreement between you and the vendor. If the agreements provide for those conditions, then you are abided by. If you can say that based on our agreement, we have a problem and we have delayed the payment. If the same are not written in the agreement, then the same cannot be considered. One question is interest disallowed in section for 1 second. Interest disallowed section 43B1 H payment made after 45 days is allowable. No, it will not. It is not allowable. Interest, any interest paid to the MSMEs vendors, it is not allowed under 43BH. So if payment is made in advance, there is compliance. Payment is already done, so there is no non-compliance. So if there is written that if invoice is received after 45 days, so there is a provision of deemed acceptance. If you have received the goods or services, there is a provision of deemed acceptance. Under the deemed acceptance provision, it would be considered that you have received the invoice and you have to make payment within 45 days. Yes, you are saying something and you are not audible.
Vineet sir, one question is from also Aditi Vandekar. In absence of the agreement, 15 days time.
What is the question?
The in absence of agreement, 15 days time limit is considered. But if there is no agreement, but PO is
Yes.
PO is there, then does the PO also count as agreement?
So if an agreement is there, then the period of 45 days has to be considered. So if there is no agreement, then 15 days period would be considered from the date of acceptance or deemed acceptance.
The next question from Anjali Agrawal, ma'am. Sir, you can see.
Yes, 1 second.
Okay.
The buyer formally rejects the invoice due to issues and communicate this within reasonable time. The 45 days period may start from the date of resubmission or correction, that is date. So these are the scenarios, various scenarios. So what it depends upon the agreement. So there should be a clear these situations should be clearly mentioned in the agreement itself, that the terms and terms of payment would be based on these conditions, or if the conditions are not satisfied, then the payment would not be done. So these are the disputed matters that needs to be evaluated on case to case basis. So we cannot here justify that 45 days period would be reckoned from which period, from the date of this dispute or date of invoice or date of receipt of goods. So that needs to be discussed on case to case basis.
What exactly term?
I think we have answered more or less all the questions that are repetitive in nature, like questions now. As per Act, both investment and turnover criteria needs to be fulfilled for classification. Yes, both the conditions should be satisfied for classification. Only one criteria is fulfilled. Yet classification change from micro from small to medium. This why this change occurred. That needs to be checked in your case. Anjali Agrawal, I think. If MSME vendors agrees to waive of interest, then does still entity needs to make provision? There is no need for provision. If the MSME vendor agrees, then we are not making any interest payment, then there is no requirement of any provision. However, you have to take the same in writing. In how many days payment should be done for micro sector, medium sector, and small sector? So this act defines only for this micro and small sector. Medium, there is those are out of this 45 days definition. Only for this micro and small enterprises, we have to make payment within the 45 days, or if there is an agreement, and 15 days if there is no agreement. I think yes, we should conclude with this. We have answered to
Yeah,
all the
yeah, sure,
questions.
sir, sure.
Yes.
Thank you once again for joining us, sir, and all. So we truly appreciate your time and participation.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you all.